Let's move on to story number 2. Star Wars Outlaws new creative director promises big changes after disappointing sales. This is Ryan Dinsdale at IGN. And I want to throw out a super chat question for this one.
Oh, okay.
What do you want out of Star Wars Outlaws? Like, does a big update for Star Wars Outlaws do much for you to come back to the game? Let me know, because I'm not a Star Wars Outlaws person, and I want to hear what people have to say if you're somebody who does care about this, right? Getting into the story, Ubisoft has released its first developer update for Star Wars Outlaws, with new creative director Drew Reckner promising big changes after the open world adventure debuted to disappointing sales. Reckner said in the update that Ubisoft had been, quote, gathering and actioning players' feedback, end quote, since launch, and has identified key areas where it can elevate the game experience to better meet player expectations. Sentiments such as these are often seen in the wake of disastrous game launches, but Star Wars Outlaws debuted to positive reviews. Poor sales shook a struggling Ubisoft, however, and it is now working to improve the game ahead of what it hopes will be a sales bump alongside its Steam launch and the holiday period. This will result in Star Wars Outlaws getting revamped combat, stealth, and controls. Quote, the first key area of improvement to the game is combat, where we see a real opportunity to add more depth and excitement to the experience, further rewarding your tactics and precision, Reckner said. Our second key area is stealth, which is not only about improving the readability and consistency of enemy detection, but also providing choice in how you want to approach each encounter. Finally, our third key area of focus is centered around the character controls, which means improving the reliability of cover, increasing the responsiveness of climbing and crouching, and generally improving the consistency of the controls overall, end quote. These changes will be made when Update 1.4 arrives on November 21st, the same day Star Wars Outlaws launches on Steam. Players can expect more information on the changes in the coming weeks. Mike, I forget, where were you at with Star Wars Outlaws? Did you play that one?
About 8 hours. I actually surprisingly enjoyed my time with that. Yeah. I didn't like Sabacc. I liked Sabacc, but I didn't like how quiet the Sabacc tables were. That was my big critique to bear.
You needed like the casino, like bells and whistles going on in the background.
It was odd that like everybody at the table didn't talk. It was just like weird, like soft sounds. And it's like, okay, well, like give me some. If I'm going to spend 5 minutes playing Sabacc, like give me some lore, give me some fun at the table. That's why you go to a blackjack table in Vegas, is the characters you're going to meet. You know what I mean? So like hit me with that. But yeah, I had a surprisingly good time with this. I mean, this seems like a lot of changes, and I would love to see that comparison, because for me, it's like I was having a good time. This is a lot of changes coming.
Does this surprise you? Because
I'm very surprised.
From the outside looking in, it surprises me, because the article mentions itself. Like, Star Wars Outlaws was received good. Like, it's not like I know a lot of people like who weren't feeling it, right? Like us had kind of funny. I know Greg and Barrett like didn't give it a good review, right? Like they didn't enjoy it. But from what I see, plenty of people do, and like overall, like Metacritic seems good, like the reviews seem good. It's just the sales that
we know where the sales are at.
Yeah,
stop putting your game over on exclusively the Ubisoft launcher. Come to Steam. Why are we doing this a second time this year? Prince of Persia could have sold better. Let's finally release it on Steam 2 months too late. Oh snap, Star Wars Outlaws probably could have sold better. We should have put it on Steam, the largest PC ecosystem in the world.
Yeah.
Put your games, if they're good, everywhere so people can buy them. Stop hiding them on the wrong launcher. What are we doing?
And that's the thing that surprises me here, is that right now their response is to go, all right, let's revamp shit. Like, let's go in, let's update it, let's fix things, let's make it better or whatever, which is cool, which is awesome, right? Like, I love when a game comes out and they're like, hey, we got a vision that we can see, that we can that we can see through and have it be better. Let's go in, fix shit, like, yeah, do all that stuff. I'm just surprised that this almost feels reactionary to, oh, the game wasn't good enough. Let's go in, let's do all this shit. And I'm like, I don't know if your problem wasn't that you're not good enough. I think the problem, I think, maybe was the release. Maybe it was that like the word of mouth wasn't strong enough for this game. Maybe it is that maybe this is a game that not as many people were asking for as we thought they were, right? And I think maybe inherently part of it is that it is, I think, at its core, Ubisoft style open world game, which we've gotten a lot of. There have been so many Far Cries, there have been so many Assassin's Creeds, there was Immortal Phoenix Rising, right? Like, people have played this style of game a lot. And I think, like, the people that are going to show up for a Star Wars version of that, like, they are who they are. That doesn't strike me as something that's going to take over the world and get 10 million sales or whatever it is.
I am impressed. I think there's only been a handful of games we could ever probably look back to and go, man, they're making all these changes and improvements just not that long after the launch window to try to bring people back, right? That's very interesting to me. I didn't know it needed all of this. I didn't know there was a giant laundry list of here's the to-dos. Let's try to make this game better for Steam launch. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. I'm a little shocked, to be honest with you, but I'm not shocked in the poor sales when you're not on Steam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I understand the console market, Ubisoft launcher, but like you got to be on Steam on PC.
We do have a couple of super chats answering the super chat question here. Elliot Duke writes in and says, I like Outlaws, but I hate what Ubisoft is doing with studios at the moment, like what they did to the Prince team. I hope the DLC is better than the base, though. And then Daniel Alonso writes in and says, the problem was releasing the game day and date on Ubisoft Plus. More people churned to the service instead of buying the game. But I'm glad they're committing to change.
Oh, snap. Okay, so now you have a Game Pass situation where if you're putting it on your subscription service, sales are going to go down. Did you account for that? Were you prepared for people just to jump into your subscription service, buy it for a month or two, and then dip out and not buy the game?
Yeah.
You know?
This is one of those ones where I wish I could be on a fly on the wall at Ubisoft for the conversations around it, because I think leading into it, I guess I was a bit more on the side of this needs to be a hit for Ubisoft. Like they're looking at this to be a gigantic hit.
You got Massive on it.
You got Massive on it.
It's a big deal.
It's a big IP, right? Like you're positioning it like as a, I know it didn't come out in fall technically, but it came out in August, which is fall adjacent. I don't want to have this argument again. But like you're putting it out, I think, at a prime spot for it, right? And like it feels like it got somewhat of an equivalent marketing push as like the next Assassin's Creed, right? They want this to be a big thing, especially because of Star Wars.
Oh, you get the Star Wars license? Yeah, this is a big deal, bless
and it
right.
doesn't,
yeah.
but post this game coming out, it doesn't feel like that, does it?
No, not at all. This one feels like it came and went, bless. But also it's a single-player Star Wars game, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think of the Respawn games, which are beloved, but like those come and go. People talk about them and they love them, and we kind of remember them come award seasons, but like those come and go. Most of these single-player games come and go, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very fascinated with, like, again, when you add these updates, is that going to bring people back in? Is this like a futile, like we're just doing this just to do it because we got to do something to try and hope to bump up those sales?
Should they have just built off of with the Division? Or is that Star Wars IP so big that you have, no matter what, you had to do it?
I think...
Because like I think the Division would have gotten more love if we were talking about the Division right now.
I think the Star Wars IP is so big that you have to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't know if this game had the stuff as far as like what it needed to be. Like we've gotten a lot of Star Wars games now, I think is the thing now, right? Jedi, the 2 Jedi games we've gotten, I think are way more high profile and like way more exciting than what Star Wars Outlaws is, right? Like you're getting to play as a Jedi, you're getting to like have this cool adventure that is linear, actiony, has almost Soulsy type of combat, right? Like that's really appealing to people. We've had the Battlefronts. We've had a lot of Star Wars.
We had
games.
that pilot game where we were dogfighting in the sky. That was a lot of fun.
Yep, we had that. And yeah, I don't know if an Outlaws coming out is something that's moving the needle as much as it would maybe if it came out like 5 years ago.
It's still so strong though. Anytime a Star Wars game comes on your screen, trailer-wise, we're all going to get excited. Everybody's going to want to talk about it. It's just so strong no matter what. Even if we feel like we're burnt out on it, there's been so many. No matter what, every time you come out, people are going to flock to it. It's just a beloved IP.
Do you feel the same way about Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, bless, I do. And this one's a very interesting story because we're going to talk about being outside of the game. And it's like, that's always been like the weirdest, jankiest moments to me. And I'm so excited to talk about this story with you because it's an odd one.
This episode's brought to you by Phasmophobia. The genre-defining horror game is finally out now on consoles. Yes, that's right. The phenomenon that is Phasmophobia has finally entered console early access on PS5, PSVR 2, and Xbox Series X and S, with full cross-play support across all platforms from day one. Join the already almost 20 million players on Steam, including our very own Snowbike Mike, and get ready for some spine-chilling ghost hunting with up to 3 friends. Experience the horror as you investigate immersive haunted locations and gather evidence to help you succeed. With several different ghost types and unique traits, no ghost hunt is ever the same. Making sure you work as a team and utilize your equipment is the key to making it out alive. It's time, Ghost Hunters. Phasmophobia is out now on PS5, PSVR 2, and Xbox Series X and S. Gather your friends and prepare for the terrifying ghost hunts that await. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. I want to take a moment and say thank you to Barrett. Barrett always goes above and beyond to keep all of our shenanigans going. This month is all about gratitude, and in addition to Barrett, there's another person we don't get to thank enough. ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we're trying our best to make sense of everything, and in this crazy world that isn't easy. Therapy helps you find your strengths so you can ditch the extreme resolutions and make changes that really stick. You can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace, and it can give you the tools to find more balance in your life. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny.
Number 3, Assassin's Creed Shadows will begin a new modern-day story after the series post-Desmond Blues. This is Ryan Dinsdale at IGN. Assassin's Creed Shadows will lay the foundation for a new modern-day story after years of Ubisoft struggling to match the interest in Desmond's storyline from the original Assassin's Creed games. Mark Alexis Cote, Ubisoft's vice president executive producer of Assassin's Creed, said at a BAFTA event attended by Eurogamer that Ubisoft has struggled to find its footing with the modern-day aspect of Assassin's Creed in recent years. Quote, Desmond's journey was at the heart of the modern-day conflict, driving the search for powerful Isu artifacts, pieces of Eden, that could change the course of history, Cote said. However, with his death at the end, spoilers, motherfucker. With his death at the end, spoilers for Assassin's Creed 3, I guess. With his death at the end of Assassin's Creed 3, we faced a creative crossroads. Ending Desmond's arc was a difficult decision, and afterward, the modern storyline struggled to find its footing, end quote. Assassin's Creed 3 arrived in 2012. However, Sokote had admitted the franchise has struggled to find a strong modern-day story in more than a decade. This has certainly been a point of frustration for fans over the years, some of whom have complained the modern-day storyline has no real direction and only detracts from the main game. Assassin's Creed Shadows looks to return some direction to the franchise, though. Quote, as we move forward, our goal is to put history back at the center of the player's experience, Cote said. The modern-day narrative will serve to enhance rather than overshadow the historical journey, end quote. So, Mike, what's your Assassin's Creed story? Were you somebody that was in? You played a lot.
A lot, yeah.
How much do you care about the modern story?
Never have cared about it at all. Anytime we're out of the animus, right? Is that what they call that thing? Anytime you're out of that, you've lost me, and I don't care, right? It's never been exciting. It's never been thrilling, anything. I think you get so lost because you only get it for so little time that when I'm spending 40 hours in the actual game, when you give me an hour to 5 hours overarching of that, I forget about it. And I've never enjoyed that. What about you?
I'm not an Assassin's Creed person. Like, I played through all of Assassin's Creed 1. I played through, like, a bunch of hours of 2. And then just partway through it, I was like, this isn't for me. I'm just going to put it down, right? Like, no hate to it, but it just didn't click. But when I think of Assassin's Creed, especially, like, this era of Assassin's Creed, 1, 2, 3, Brotherhood, Revolution, all that stuff, or Revelations, I think of my friend James Koltoff from back in the day. Okay. And like James and Stevie, they were very into Assassin's Creed, and I would overhear them talk about the modern day storyline and being into it. Wow. Like they were passionately into it to the point where it's, oh, we can't wait for the next one to see where this is this goes. Like they were into it.
That's got to be such a small percentage of people ever talking about that.
You think so?
And you got to hear it. Because I have never once outside of these walls in the gaming world, Steve back at work never once talked about outside of the main Assassin's Creed stuff.
See, that's the stuff that had me like, man, maybe I got to push through just to see what this modern day story is, because they made it sound like the coolest thing ever. And then at some point, I just stopped hearing people talk about it. I was just like, oh, and maybe it was because it was post Assassin's Creed 3, right? But like, I felt like the discourse around the modern day stuff, people just stopped caring, and it felt like they just stopped putting in as much effort into it. It feels like a
post-Westworld world that we live in right now. You could tell a really cool story outside of what we're getting, but they never captured that for me.
I just wanted to give you both a heads up, all right? Nick's over there, 405, and in front of the printer asking why there's so much Sharpie on it, so it's one of those days. Be careful out there.
Oh, shit.
Wait, asking why there's so much Sharpie on it? What's he talking about?
I don't know. That wasn't me, though. That wasn't me, ladies and gentlemen. That definitely wasn't me.
Sharpie all over?
Like just the markers?
Like, did somebody draw on the printer? Like, what happened?
I think that's the
Or
vibe.
is he just asking why there's so many Sharpie
I'm worried because just so everybody knows, I signed, like, 270 Snowbike Mike DVDs with Sharpie, but I didn't put them back there, so I just need everybody to know it was not
That's the wheeze laugh of a guilty
You
man.
know what I mean? Like Greg was the last one to sign things in this office with a Sharpie, so we're all gonna
That
look
is
at
true.
Greg. You know what I
That
mean?
is true.
Mike was a month ago.
Shit,
Back
Brian.
to our Assassin's Creed.
Dude,
story.
I'm going home after this in Gamescast.
I'm immediately
to stream,
leaving. It's
so-
fine. I'm putting my head down.
I'm
I'm
outta here.
walking out of this office as fast as possible.
I'm fucking out of here.
I'm not dapping
I
him
don't
up.
wanna-
I'm not saying
I don't
hi
want
to
to
him.
deal with it.
I'm running.
I'm not making eye contact with Nick. I'm just fucking out that door. I'm not leaving this room after
You know, the
KFC.
Go to the
printer,
back door.
the printer sits in the corner of the office. Nobody ever looks at it. It's got a little Sharpie on it. No big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No big deal. That's what I would
It's
say.
funny. Post KFC news, I go out there. I like, I'll refill my water. I'll stretch a little bit. I'm not leaving this room.
Draw on the Sharpie a little bit.
Yeah.
Draw on the printer a
No,
little bit.
I don't do that. Yo, Nick, if you're watching, I don't do that.
There's a box next to the
I don't do
next
that.
to the printer with all the
God.
Sharpies. It's like the Snickers bar, Roger, that tasted like fruit. Remember? Because
Yeah.
it's a box next to it. They're kind of touching each other.
Yeah,
That's
the,
gotta,
the
that's
ink
gotta
bleeds.
be.
The ink bleeds.
So are we blaming Greg? Is Greg the
Yeah,
one
we
that's getting
all
the
we all
blame
have
for
to
this?
agree to blame.
Are we all
Yeah.
on the same page?
Yeah, we're all on the same
With the
page.
three of us on the
That's a
same
bold
page.
move. We're gonna blame our
We
CEO.
have to. We have to.
I've never used that printer in years, bro. Or a Sharpie. I don't even know what's a Sharpie. Like, what's that fucking Snicker? What is that?
Let's go back to the story here. So to go back to it, yeah, Bless, this is a story that never captured me. There's so much going on in Assassin's Creed that when you go to the modern day outside of what you're playing, it always feels janky. It never feels right. It slows down the game. I've never experienced a story or gameplay where I go, yes, give me more of that. Never once in my Assassin's Creed journey. Now, like I said, I think it is interesting that the team is mindful of that. Of course they are, because they've been putting it in their story, but it is cool of like, hey, how do we give this a boost? How do we restart this maybe and make it more enjoyable? And as I brought up before, right, we're living in a post-Westworld universe where Westworld was pretty freaky deaky, right? With the
Yeah.
idea of being outside and then being inside. And like similar to Assassin's Creed, could you do something like that? I would like them to see them explore something like that.
I wonder if this is part. This is gonna sound like a joke because we joke about this. We've been joking about this forever. But I wonder if this is a part of Assassin's Creed Unlimited universe. What did I forget what it was already called?
Yes.
Assassin's Creed Unlimited.
Infinity, I think.
Infinity, thank
Yes.
you. I was like, it's not
Infinity.
Unlimited. It's not Universe. Assassin's Creed Connected. I wonder if this is part of Infinity, where Infinity is supposed to come out alongside Assassin's Creed Shadows, right? Shadows supposed to be in the introduction of what Infinity is. I wonder if Infinity is them going, this is how we're going to take the modern storyline into the future. This is how we're going to take it into the modern day, right?
Now-
This is how we're going to modernize it.
Now, it's not really a storyline, but how I would like to see this play out is Infinity, the hub, is at an actual museum. And so you can create your character, or you're just a character, and you walk into the museum and you can go to different areas of the museum, and they'll have the different games that you can then jump into the Animus and play those games. And then you can snap out of it when you quit exit game and you go back to the hub, and then you go back into the museum, walk around the halls, go to a different exhibit, and then jump into that one. That could be Odyssey, then you jump over, and it could be Origins. The next one could be Valhalla. I would love to see that. Also,
They're
that's like
doing
a 7,000 megabyte or gigabyte game.
I'm like, you're describing the biggest game file of all time.
But it would be sick. That
It'd
would be a cool kind of
It'd
vibe.
be cool until I'm like, I just want to play Odyssey. I don't want to fucking go into a museum and find the room that Odyssey. Let me just boot up fucking Assassin's Creed Hexy or whatever. Like, Call of Duty has made me wonder so much about like what's going on in video games.
No, they're smart.
Because
they
why
take
is there
up your
one
whole-
launcher?
Yeah.
And like, why do I have to go into this launcher and then it's like, oh, you got an update, exit to restart. And I'm
Okay,
like,
well, we haven't figured
motherfucker.
that problem out.
And why is it like 100 something? Why is it 200 gigabytes? This thing.
Because they don't want you to have any other games on your hard drive. They're smart, okay? They take up your whole
The
hard
Call of
drive.
Duty launcher-
You can't ever get out of it.
The Call of Duty launcher has made me look at Assassin's Creed Infinity and go, man, I hope they abandon ship so hard because I don't want this.
One day we'll live in a world where cloud gaming is so strong, you won't be downloading Assassin's Creed Infinity and have it 700 gigs. You'll just be able to jump in and stream from the cloud. It's so perfect.
We're never gonna live in that
downloads.
world. The
I-
internet's not.
You never know.
that's
Let
never
me
gonna be
break
that
it to you,
good.
Blessing.
What's
The
up?
Call of Duty launcher is the best it's ever been.
It is the best it's ever been.
You can just
Stop lying
download.
to me.
No, you can just download Black Ops 6. You don't have to worry about anything. It's kind of good right now, but I mean that's not
But
saying
like,
much.
okay, how many clicks until I can get into a match?
Don't worry about
How many
that.
clicks?
2, 3.
Oh, get the fuck out of here!
Night,
No,
after
Probably
last night,
3.
I was playing with my brother, and then just the game like turned off, and we had to update it, both of us. we had to turn off
Exactly.
the game and then turn it back on. And say, your
it's
update's in there.
been
Don't
there.
worry about it.
one click to start the game, one click to restart the game because it tells you.
Ah, that's true, that's true, that's true. You got
Another
me.
click to get to Black Ops 6. then you click into Black Ops 6, and then you choose multiplayer, and then finally you can find the lobby you want to get into and actually play the game. It's just too much. Let me just play the game.
Whatever they do, don't impact the game by trying to tell the modern story. You have a really interesting situation here where they're going to try to reboot this, restart this, give excitement to it. But I don't want to continuously be pulled in and out of the situation, right? If I'm in Shadows and I'm running around Japan and I'm killing people, I don't want to just the next mission be sucked out of it, go over here, and we do the back and forth all game. They got to. That's the tough part about this.
What if the story's really cool though?
You got to nail that story.
What if it's a really cool?
Yeah, but like,
I think
no,
a lot
it
of
will
people
never
felt that
be
way.
cool enough. That's the issue. It will never be cool.
But I think a lot of people were already. I think a lot of people were like, "Yo, this shit is cool." Like Assassin's Creed 1 through 3.
Langley M. Neely brought up a great point, which I think is solid. And I remember when they initially announced Watch Dogs, people were like, is this part of the Assassin's Creed universe? Like, is that something they can do where they actually give it gameplay and make it essentially Watch Dogs in modern day, but then plus you're going back in time, like kind of crossing those two bridges? I don't know.
The chat is saying, Mike, you're in the minority. People want the modern story.
That's where
I'm truly stunned
from
by
what
that.
I've seen.
I'm stunned.
And again, this is purely anecdotal for me and from my friends being really into Assassin's Creed. I think people really fuck with that modern story, at least back in the day.
Put it on the poll, Roger. Put a poll out there, Roger, on the Twitterverse. Do you buy in and want the modern story in Assassin's Creed?
Put it in the poll because I want to know what people think.
That's crazy. I'm putting up a poll in Twitch chat.
Because I think if you restore that feeling, you at least got James back. I think James is.
Who the hell is James?
My guy James Koltoff. That's the guy who told me about how much he loved the Assassin's Creed story.
I thought you were talking about like he was a character in Assassin's Creed. I'm like, who the hell's James?
James is my guy. James was so hardcore. He this is like during the PS3 era.
Okay.
He platinumed any game that he had a platinum. And so you look at his trophy list, every single thing had a platinum. There was one time I was over at his place, and I was like, oh, y'all, we got to play Mortal Kombat, like the new Mortal Kombat game. This is when they did the reboot. I put it in his console, and like when I first booted up the game, I think I just automatically got a bronze trophy or whatever. And then Stevie and James looked at me, and they were like, hey, you have to give James Mortal Kombat. Like, James has to platinum Mortal Kombat now. Like, you fucked up. And I was like, all right, cool, you can borrow it. Like, go ahead. That's how hardcore James was.
Okay.
Respect to James.
Okay. Well, we're gonna put a poll up, and when we come back, we'll talk about that poll really quick.
I do want to bring in one super chat from Marquise Johnson, who writes in and says, "I think we're seeing IP is just attached to bad games. IP is just attached to bad games. Fail suicide." This is how he wrote it.
Okay. Yeah. I've been there before.
Yeah. IP is just attached to bad games. Fail, Suicide Squad, Outlaws, Avatar. The games had to be good as well.
That's true. I mean, if you get the IP, you got to make a good game. You're blessed with the IP. It will carry you so far, but at the same time, you still got to make a good game.
And then one more from Mara, who writes in and says, Ubi had a missed opportunity by never doing an Assassin's Creed / Watch Dogs crossover, allowing you to hack the Animus in modern times for advantages in the past.
Interesting. That's fun.
I think that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
It sounds fascinating.
I didn't really love the Watch Dogs universe, so I didn't need a crossover there.
Yeah.
After that first Watch Dogs one, I was like, I don't want any more.
And we're definitely at this point, we're way past the time they can do that.
They're making a movie. They're making a movie.
You ain't going back.
Which one, Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed?
Watch Dogs. And they're making an Assassin's Creed show, too.
It's still way too late. That's like if Sony was like, oh, we're finally doing the Men in Black 22 Jump Street crossover.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
like, no.
I wish for it every day.
That would have been cool.
I wish for it every day.
That would have been cool back in 2014.